Hi everyone, it's Shell from Scrap Secrets and welcome back to my channel. For today's video, we're going to be doing a couple different techniques with some stamps and a masking stencil to create this card. The stamps are from Honey Bee and they're called Birds of Paradise, and we're going to pick the two flamingos at the bottom, the one that's facing left and the one that's facing right. This stencil and mask are from MFT, and I am placing the two flamingos in one on either side of the heart so that they kind of mimic the shape of the heart. I apologize for my head. I was just making sure that I was getting it into the proper spot. And now I'm going to stamp it in some Lawn Fawn Jet Black ink. I haven't used these stamps before, so I did run my hands over them just to kind of take off any of the residue that might have been left from the manufacturing. And then here's where I go wrong. I use a Pilot V5 pen to go ahead and add in the rest of the lines that may not have stamped really well because of the edge of the stencil, because the open part is lower and then right around the edges it might not have gotten it all. But by doing so, I'm going to be watercoloring, and that pen is water reactive, not water resistant. I should have used like a Micron or a Copic multi-liner, but I didn't think about that when I was doing it. It was just the pen that was the closest. So now I'm going to be going in with some Distress Oxide in Saltwater Taffy around the heart mask. I love these stencils because they come with the positive and the negative, so you can do techniques like this. You can do more techniques than ones where there is just the stencil. Oh, because of this, we can mask off that heart portion and then really make that heart portion stand out by going around the edges with inks. You could have used Distress ink, Distress Oxide. You could have used regular dye inks. Doesn't matter. I just had Distress Oxides around my table. So we are going to be using 3 colors of Distress Oxide here. Saltwater Taffy was the first one. I believe this is Kitsch Flamingo, which was completely appropriate. Those 2 colors are the ones that we are going to go ahead and watercolor with, but the inks of it, not the oxides, because the oxides will create a chalky oxidized result rather than the Distress inks that have a little bit more of a brightness to them rather than that white oxidization look. So after I put those 2 colors on and blend them, we are also going to use Shaded Lilac because I love the way these 3 colors look together. I just think the Shaded Lilac is it's a really soft purple, and I think it goes really nicely with both of the soft Saltwater Taffy, which is like an orangey pink, and then the Kitsch Flamingo, which is obviously a flamingo pink. So we're going around the edges and just kind of, I was actually trying to make the colors arc in kind of the shape of a heart so that it would be color layering going out. I don't think that I actually achieved that, but if you didn't know that that's what I was going for, you wouldn't know it. So only if you watch the video, you'll know that that's kind of what I was going for, and pretty much probably failed on that one, but that's okay because the background is all covered. It's soft, and I really, really like the way that it came out. I think these colors blend nicely together. And if you have not tried Distress Oxides on watercolor cardstock, I think they blend beautifully. However, if you're using stencils with them, you have to be super careful because I found when I've been using stencils that they tend to bleed a little bit. So I wouldn't use them for stenciling, but for doing a background for ink blending, I definitely would try out some of the watercolor cardstock. So this is Canson XL watercolor cardstock, if I didn't already say that. And I am using the Saltwater Taffy to color in the flamingo on the left-hand side. A couple years ago, we went to, actually it was before any of the kids were born, so I think it'll be 9 years. It'll be 9 years this April that we went to Aruba, and we stayed at a Marriott that had a boat that could take you over to a private island, and the adults only side, which is why I know we didn't have the kids yet, was a flamingo beach. And it was so cool, and you saw these flamingos walking around, and you think that they're more of the pink that you see here with the Kitsch Flamingo, but most of them had a real orange color to them. And then I was following Lindsay Girk, and she actually said that there are times where flamingos can lose their coloring because when they're mothering and stressed out and stuff like that, they can lose their color. And she has a line of stuff, not promoting this, I don't get anything from it, but I just thought it was very interesting where it says, get your pink back. And it's, for it's supposed to be for mothers who are just, they're getting through motherhood, they're tired, they're stressed, all that kind of stuff. And eventually you find yourself back to being, I guess, feeling like a human again. But I thought it was very interesting, and I did not know that flamingos can actually lose their coloring. And now that I think back to seeing the flamingos, there were some that were much, much lighter than the other flamingos. So the flamingos actually looked in person. Most of them looked a little bit more like the one on the left, but I wanted to distinguish them. And I really think when you think of flamingos, you think of the one that's on the right. So here I am going in with the white gel pen. You can see that I kind of messed up the bottom. I keep going back to it. Once the water hit that Pilot pen, it smudged, and I think that in the end it's okay. I wasn't really crazy about it. If I had to redo it, obviously I would use either a micron pen or a Copic multiliner to go ahead and do that, but it was not how I rolled this time. So, okay, this stencil is from Lawn Fawn. It is a 2-part stencil, so it's those conversation hearts. So the hearts are nice and big, and I picked a piece of, I think it's a pre-made cardstock, and I believe it is 5 by 6.5 rather than a 5 by 7. So again, because it was a pre-made pack, I'm using the Distress Oxides, the same 3 colors that I used for the background, but you can see here that because it's going on top of the black, the color really looks oxidized, and it really just looks, even though we didn't use any water, it comes out with a chalkier finish, and Distress Oxides will show up better on black cardstock than regular inks would. So that's why I'm using them. But because they're such light colors, they're all going to kind of almost look the same. They are, like I said, they are very, very light. So when I pull this off, you can kind of tell where the difference between the colors are, but not really. So I probably could have just done this in one color, but I thought that I would go back in and use the same 3 colors that I used for the background. 1, because I already had them out, and then 2, because it would help it match a little bit. So this is something that my parents, if you've heard the stories before, and I have it back in story time from another card, my parents are big with flamingos. We kind of have a family thing with flamingos, so this might be the Valentine's Day card that I give them because flamingos have a special inside joke in our family. So there is the background, and you can kind of see the purple at the bottom versus the pinks at the top. And then just placing that piece on just to see how it looks. I could have rounded the corners a little bit on the top just to make it look maybe a little bit more like a heart, but I thought the background looked plain, so I took that same white gel pen and put dots in between the hearts. This is one of the things that I love doing to backgrounds or to anything, to kind of take the white gel pen and put those finishing details in, and I think that it just gives a little bit more something to the background. You could have gone in and done highlights on the hearts, different things to it, but just the dots, just the addition of that, I think it looks just a little bit more finished. So I'm using the Honeybee Be Creative glue to go ahead and put glue on the on the back of the piece that we watercolored, put it onto the card front, and that's the card for today. I hope that you guys enjoyed this. If you have any comments or questions, please feel free to leave them below, and I will see you again real soon for another video. Bye!